John McCain, and he's a good man, but John McCain thought that the answer is that tried and true Republican response: deregulate, deregulate. So what you had is you had overwhelming, quote, deregulation. You had actually the belief that Wall Street could self-regulate itself. And while Barack Obama was talking about reinstating those regulations, John, on 20 different occasions in the previous year and a half, called for more deregulation. Matter of fact, John recently wrote an article in a major magazine saying that he wants to do for the healthcare industry, deregulate it and let the free market move like he did for the banking industry. So deregulation was the promise, and guess what? Those people who would say don't go into debt, they can barely pay to fill up their gas tank. I was recently to my local gas station, asked a guy named Joey Danko, I said, Joey, how much it costs to fill your tank? You know what his answer was? He said, I don't know, Joe. I never have enough money to do it. The middle class needs relief, tax relief. They need it now. They need help now. The focus will change with Barack Obama.
Governor, please, if you want to respond to what he said about Senator McCain's comments about health care.
I'd like to respond about the tax increases. And, we can speak in agreement here that darn right we need tax relief for Americans so that jobs can be created here. Now, Barack Obama and Senator Biden also voted for the largest tax increases in U.S. history. Barack had 94 opportunities to side on the people's side and reduce taxes, and 94 times he voted to increase taxes or not support a tax reduction. 94 times. Now, that's not what we need to create jobs and really bolster and heat up our economy. We do need the private sector to be able to keep more of what we earn and produce. Government's going to have to learn to be more efficient and live with less if that's what it takes to rein in the government growth that we've seen today. But we do need tax relief. And Barack Obama even supported increasing taxes as late as last year for those families making only $42,000 a year. That's a lot of middle-income, average American family. To increase taxes on them, I think that is the way to kill jobs and to continue to harm our economy.
Senator.
Charge is absolutely not true. Barack Obama did not vote to raise taxes. The vote she's referring to, John McCain voted the exact same way. It was a budget procedural vote. John McCain voted the same way. It did not raise taxes. Number two, using the standard that the governor uses, John McCain voted 477 times to raise taxes. It's a bogus standard. But if you notice, Gwen, the governor did not answer the question about deregulation, did not answer the question of defending John McCain about not going along with the deregulation, letting Wall Street run wild. He did support deregulation almost across the board. That's why we got in so much trouble.
Would you like to have an opportunity to answer that before we move on?
I'm still on the tax thing because I want to correct you on that again. And I want to let you know what I did as a mayor and as a governor. And I may not answer the questions the way that either the moderator or you want to hear, but I'm going to talk straight to the American people and let them know my track record also. As mayor, every year I was in office, I did reduce taxes. I eliminated personal property taxes and eliminated small business inventory taxes. And as governor, we suspended our state fuel tax. We did all those things knowing that that is how our economy would be heated up. Now, as for John McCain's adherence to rules and regulations and pushing for even harder and tougher regulations, that is another thing that he is known for, though. Look at the tobacco industry. Look at campaign finance reform.
Okay, our time is up here. I'm going to move on to the next question. Senator Biden, we want to talk about taxes. Let's talk about taxes.
Good. You
You have proposed raising taxes on people who earn over $250,000 a year. The question for you is, why is that not class warfare? And the same question for you, Governor Palin, is you have proposed a taxing employer health benefits, which some studies say would actually throw 5 million more people onto the rolls of the uninsured. I want to know why that isn't taking things out on the poor, starting with you, Senator Biden.
Well, Gwen, where I come from, it's called fairness. Just simple fairness. The middle class is struggling. The middle class under John McCain's tax proposals, 100 million families, middle class families, households to be precise. They got not a single change. They got not a single break in taxes. No one making less than $250,000 under Barack Obama's plan will see one single penny of their tax raise, whether it's their capital gains tax, their income tax, investment tax, any tax. And 95% of the people in the United States of America making less than $150,000 will get a tax break. Now, that seems to me to be simple fairness. The economic engine of America is the middle class. It's the people listening to this broadcast. When you do well, America does well. Even the wealthy do well. This is not punitive. John wants to add $300 billion in new tax cuts per year for corporate America and the very wealthy, while giving virtually nothing to the middle class. We have a different value set. The middle class is the economic engine. It's fair. They deserve the tax breaks, not the super wealthy are doing pretty well. They don't need any more tax breaks. And by the way, they'll pay no more than they did under Ronald Reagan.
Governor?
I do take issue with some of the principle there with that redistribution of wealth principle that seems to be espoused by you. But when you talk about Barack's plan to tax increase affecting only those making $250,000 a year or more, you're forgetting the millions of small businesses that are going to fit into that category. So they're going to be the ones paying higher taxes, thus resulting in fewer jobs being created and less productivity. Now, you said recently that higher taxes or asking for higher taxes or paying higher taxes is patriotic. In the middle class of America, which is where Todd and I have been, all of our lives, that's not patriotic. Patriotic is saying, government, you're not always the solution. In fact, too often you're the problem. So government, lessen the tax burden on the private sector and on our families and get out of the way and let the private sector and our families grow and thrive and prosper. An increased tax formula that Barack Obama is proposing, in addition to nearly $1 trillion in new spending that he's proposing, is the backwards way of trying to grow our economy.
Governor, are you interested in defending Senator McCain's health care plan?
I am, because he's got a good health care plan that is detailed, and I want to give you a couple of details on that. He's proposing a $5,000 tax credit for families so that they can get out there and they can purchase their own health care coverage. And that's a smart thing to do. That's budget neutral. That doesn't cost the government anything, as opposed to Barack Obama's plan to mandate health care coverage and have this universal government-run program. And unless you're pleased with the way that the federal government has been running anything lately, I don't think that it's going to be real pleasing for Americans to consider health care being taken over by the feds. But a $5,000 health care credit through our income tax, that's budget neutral, that's going to help. And he also wants to erase those artificial lines between states so that through competition, we can cross state lines. And if there's a better plan offered somewhere else, we'd be able to purchase that. So affordability and accessibility will be the keys there, with that $5,000 tax credit also being offered.
Thank you, Governor. Senator?
Gwen, I don't know where to start. We don't call it redistribution in my neighborhood, Scranton, Claymont, Wilmington, the places I grew up, to say that not giving ExxonMobil another $4 billion tax cut this year, as John calls for, and giving it to middle-class people to be able to pay to get their kids to college. We don't call that redistribution. We call that fairness, number one. Number two, factually, 95% of the small businesses in America, their owners make less than $250,000 a year. They would not get one single solitary penny increase in taxes, those small businesses. Now, with regard to the health care plan, it's with one hand you give it, the other you take it. You know how John McCain pays for his $5,000 tax credit you're going to get, a family will get? He taxes as income every one of you out there, every one of you listening who has a health care plan through your employer. That's how he raises $3.6 trillion on your taxing your health care benefit to give you a $5,000 plan, which his website points out will go straight to the insurance company. And then you're going to have to replace a $12,000, that's the average cost of the plan you get through your employer. It costs $12,000. You're going to have to replace a $12,000 plan because 20 million of you are going to be dropped. 20 million of you will be dropped. So you're going to have to replace a $12,000 plan with a $5,000 check you've just given to the insurance company. I call that the ultimate bridge to nowhere.
Thank you, Senator. Now, I want to try to get you both to answer a question that neither of your principals quite answered when my colleague Jim Lehrer asked it last week. Starting with you, Senator Biden. What promises, given the events of the week, the bailout plan, all of this, what promises have you and your campaigns made to the American people that you are not going to be able to keep?
Well, the one thing we may have to slow down. is a commitment we made to double foreign assistance.